baseline. Corner bounce, Thon Maker squares up and guns and it goes! Thon Maker with 16.7 seconds to play. Rips the net.
Wow.
With a triple. And he puts the Pistons up 125 to 122.
And Reggie Jackson is the guy who helped make this play. Being chased by a series of Hawks, he takes care of it. He finds the right guy, and Thon Maker gets his third three-point make of this game. And
From his favorite spot.
That was Thon Maker hitting the game winner, the new Piston acquired at the trade deadline. Pistons winners of 7 of their last 8. They're in the playoff hunt. They're the 7th seed, a half game behind the Nets for the 6th seed. Welcome to Views from the Sideline, February 26th, 2019. I'm a happy guy. Pistons are playing well. Joey is not because the Pistons are playing well. I'm not sure about Malik.
We need to put a side-by-side video of Joey being happy about the Lions and you being mad. You being happy about the Pistons and him being mad. See how they are exactly the same, but in different seasons.
Different teams.
Yes. It's so funny
seeing
the differences between the Lions and the Pistons with you two. It's amazing.
It's because I don't know why, but Joey just has some false hope for the Lions when they have no success in their history.
Even though you have false hope for the Pistons?
1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings.
Yeah, when was the last ring?
When was the last ring for the Lions?
It doesn't even,
1950. I don't know.
Anyways, welcome into the show. It's Views from the Sideline. I'm Chris Pappas. Across the table from me, not very happy, it's Joey Tysick. Right next to me, Malik
Happy
Hill.
to be back.
Back at Another week. Yeah, we got a packed show today. Michigan State happened on Sunday. Zion Williamson has been in the news since last week. Pistons playing hot. Lakers and LeBron struggling. We'll get all into that. But we got to start with the biggest news from the weekend. Michigan State upsets Michigan in Ann Arbor. MSU won 77-70. It was a close game throughout. Michigan State kind of held on to the lead for the most part throughout the game, but pulled away at the end. They took the lead 54-53 with 10-13 left in the game, held on to it. Malik, you are the Michigan fan in the room. I want to get your first impressions from this letdown by the Wolverines basketball team.
Before I get into my first impressions, I just want to say the fact that this rivalry is getting to the point where it's like, I think it's like right behind. At this point, it's behind North Carolina and Duke for like the most competitive, second best rivalry in the country. Like these two programs.
You think it's the second best rivalry in the country behind Duke and North Carolina?
Right now, yes. The level of success, the competitiveness, the level of coaching, the players. I mean, Tom Izzo and John Beilein will have this rivalry going very strong for a long time. So I think they both deserve credit for that right now, where they have these programs at. So now we got some.
Joey is just.
I want you to adjust my headset very slightly.
I'm just getting I'm trying to listen to what Malik's saying. Joey's just giving me this.
All right.
Adjust the headphone.
It's fine now. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
We're good?
I guess.
We
until Joey tells me something else.
Go ahead.
All right. So
He
first
blew my
impressions.
eardrums out.
First impressions after the game. I am worried, but also at the same time not extremely worried because.
Why wouldn't you be extremely worried? Michigan.
Because Michigan.
They struggled over there. They're 4-3 in their last 7.
There's-
After a team that started off so impressively.
Yes.
Why would you not be worried?
My worry is that they peaked too early and they've already played their best basketball.
I think that is what the case.
But even if they peak too early, this is still a really good basketball team that can make a run in March because John Beilein always gets the best out of his guys from the conference tournament on lately. And this could be a different team, but until it doesn't happen, John Beilein has that track record of getting them going.
So you're just basing
March.
your opinion off of the track record, not the current team.
Usually around this part of the season, I'm never confident in the team, but they always just go up another level. But this is the first team John Beilein has had where defense is the focus, 3-point shooting is one of the is far back behind in what the focus is, even though they take a lot of threes.
Talking about defense, we said last week Xavier Simpson has to play lockdown defense on Cassius Winston. Xavier is one of the best perimeter defenders Michigan has. He did not play well defensively. Cassius Winston lit him up, 27 points, 8 assists, 2 steals. That was really the change in the game is Cassius had his way.
The pick and roll took Xavier almost out of the game defensively.
Yeah.
With the pick and roll, Cassius got open shots. He was able to wheel and deal at will.
The thing with MSU that I'm worried about when it comes to March is, are they going to have enough left in the tank? Cassius played the entire game.
He's going to have to for them to make these.
They can't play Foster.
They
cannot play Foster Lawyer.
They can only play him like 2 or 3 minutes at the
if
most.
That.
If
when it comes to March, you can't play him barely any. Maybe put him in the corner to space the floor a little bit, but that's really it.
But, yeah, from the Michigan standpoint, I think it's time for some changes to be made.
Like what?
John Beilein, he has never had a team like this where Jordan Poole, Iggy Brazdeikis, Charles Matthews, those are 3 skilled shot creators in his starting lineup. He's never had a team like this where those 3 can just go create shots for themselves. So throughout the season, even in the beginning, even though they were running the offense effectively, there are times where he just sit back and let them do what they do because they're skilled and they could go get buckets. And for most of the season, that's what they've been able to do. I think he's gotten too lenient. He's become too comfortable. And they just go completely out of flow with the offense because them 3, especially Iggy as a freshman, he's not taking unless it's a wide open 3, even the layups he gets are contested a lot. He doesn't take the smartest shots. Whenever the offense isn't working, them 3 divert to, I'll take the ball and I'll try to get a bucket. And a lot of times, Charles Matthews usually takes smart shots, but a lot of times, Jordan Poole, Iggy Brazdeikis, they take difficult shots when they go ISO. So it's been less trust in the system, more I have 3 guys that can get buckets. I'll just trust them. And that needs to change.
Yeah.
I think Iggy Brazdeikis needs to become the 6th man. I think Isaiah Livers needs to start ahead of him at the 4. Because Isaiah Livers, he's the one consistent 3-point threat on that team. He shoots I think he's still shooting over 45% from 3 for the season. Whenever he comes in, he's almost automatic. If you give him space, he's automatic. Taking Iggy off the court, that leaves Charles and Jordan as the 2 shot creators. They don't have to fight for anything. It's not 3 shot creators fighting for control of who can take over. It's just them 2. When they get the ball, they can figure it out. I also think you need to play DeJulius more and give Eli Brooks less minutes because DeJulius is offense. He may not have a complete grasp of the offense right now, but in the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament, you need a guy that can come in and produce offensively, and Dave DeJulius can do that.
Definitely.
Along with running the offense.
Yeah, and Joey, I need to get your opinion on this. You kind of got – I can't – do you lean more State or do you lean more Michigan?
I only lean Michigan because of Beilein. Other than that, I could kind of care less.
Izzo outcoached him in this one.
Whichever team plays better.
All those injuries they have, Izzo outcoached him.
So I love it when both the teams are playing well.
So what was your take from this one, Joe? What do you take from MSU going into Ann Arbor and really taking complete control of that game? They had the lead for the last 10 minutes and went on the road.
Yeah, it was a good win for Michigan State. They kind of played like we thought they might without Nick Ward. Kenny Goings had a really good game. And again, the problem with Michigan, the guy that I keep looking to is Charles Matthews. He was 1 of 8 in this game. He had
been
no
struggling.
Rebounds, 1 assist.
The last 4 games before this, he's been playing really good. So
I feel like Charles Matthews.
He plays really good and then he falls off. That happens a lot.
He has bad timing with his when he has his falling off. I feel like most of the games he struggles in are the ones with the big moments.
Although North Carolina, he played great. The whole team played great in that one. That was early in the season when they were playing.
That was a long time ago. You bring up Kenny Goins. 16 points, 11 rebounds, 3 of 9 from deep.
He's the X factor.
He is the X factor, yes. And he controls the glass. That was honestly, I think his biggest impression on that game is how well he controlled the defensive glass, really secured possessions for MSU, so they could get going on in their transition offense. I want to bring this up to you, Malik, and then I'll get Joey's opinion on it. Michigan's, in my opinion, falling right now. I mean, from what they started the beginning of the year, now they've only won 4 in their last 7, losing to Penn State, unranked. Who else did they lose to? Wisconsin, unranked. MSU, that's a good. I mean, it's not a good loss, but it's at least a team ranked in the top 10. Does this Michigan team the basketball team remind you of the Michigan football team when it comes to starting out so strong and having such high expectations to at the end of the year falling flat?
The Michigan basketball team, they didn't have high expectations going into the season.
But once they started, so hot
with the strong start, people knew they were one of the top teams in the country. That was a thing. Nobody expected them to come out at that level, which everybody knew they wouldn't sustain that. Nobody sustained that level.
To be fair, people had high expectations for Michigan football coming in. I understand that, but not as high of expectations from what they started to. They started the season really well and really got the nation behind them, saying, "Oh, this could be the year Michigan actually gets to the college football playoff." That wasn't the case. They built up that hype from the beginning of the season, building on success after some big wins, which I think Michigan basketball has done as well. They didn't have the preseason expectations as Michigan football, but I think there's some correlation there. Would you agree or no?
I would agree a little bit from the standpoint that they've built expectations from their play early in the season, yeah. But I think it's different because Beeline is a proven factor in all of this.
You don't think Harbaugh is a proven factor?
At Michigan, no.
Okay.
At Michigan, he hasn't gotten to the Big Ten championship, so he hasn't proven anything yet. Beeline has won Big Ten tournaments. He's won the Big Ten. He's gotten to 2 national championships. He's gotten there. So with a start like this, a Beeline team has never had a start like this, so it was a surprise. So even if his team has a slight fall off, which most seasons his team has a skid where they lose games that people don't think they should lose, when March comes around, they turn it around. They make a bit of a run. It's been his thing. So I can see a little bit of correlation, but not totally because of the coaching difference. And
Definitely. Joe, what's your opinion on that?
I think I kind of agree with Malik in a way where, like, Michigan football team too, we kind of took it for granted too when the time that it was happening. Their football schedule wasn't as hard as we thought it would be. Really was. And Michigan basketball, they've had some very quality wins this season. So I don't think that it's necessarily the same fall off per se, but it is still a concern that, you start so hot and then you're kind of falling off when games start to matter a little bit more, especially in a rivalry game like this against Michigan State. With them shooting such a bad 3-point percentage in this game, I think Jordan Poole was 2 of 8. Xavier Simpson, 2 of 7. He should never be shooting 7 threes in a game, no matter what Malik says. And he shouldn't be the leading scorer. That's just a. It's not that he can't. It's not that he can't do it, but that's not how this offense should work.
If his game is going, he can be the leading scorer. But of course, there will be times where the teams leave him open, and Beeline wants him to take that shot. That's the thing.
Because teams know that if he beats you, that means that most of the other guys aren't, because he's supposed to be the facilitator. And this team is built on depth. And the biggest problem that I had in this game is that I feel like they need to dump it to Teskey more often, because he's proven this year that he can play really well and in meaningful minutes, and his offensive game is very much improved. And I think that these Michigan wings need better open looks. Like Malik said, a lot of them are trying to create shots too much, kind of forcing up bad looks.
They're not trusting the offense.
They're still young guys. I think they need to get it down to Teskey, draw a little attention off of them, get better looks, and then that will open up the whole offense to so many other things. Then that'll allow Xavier Simpson to get to the basket. They can do these little pick and pop type of things with Teskey, and I think it just creates more offense in general. And I think that's like the big concern right now is how they're going about their offense. And Malik kind of talked about it where, They have all these guys that are somewhat ball dominant. I mean, they're good at sharing the ball, but they can kind of have these little segments where they're just trying to create something out of nothing almost. And that's the big concern.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of have to agree with Joe on that one. Continuing to talk about MSU, they move into sole possession of first place in the Big Ten. They're ranked now number 6 in the country. They hop over Michigan, who's now ranked, I believe, 10?
It's 9 or 10.
I think it's 10. Was this a statement win for MSU? Was this their big statement win of the year?
I think it definitely is. People, right after the game, everybody was talking about how gritty that win was and how Tom Izzo really, he's getting back to the basics, the fundamentals of what made him a great coach and what made his team so great. It's not based on superstars. It's not based on the 5-star players. It's about taking the players that you have, putting them in your system, guys that fit your system, guys that play hard, play together, no matter what, no matter who's injured. You trust guys to hit shots. You trust guys to rebound. Everybody plays their part. Everybody's in the right place. You play hard defense. You run the offense. You do what needs to be done to win. That is what a Tom Izzo team usually is. In the past few years, they've gotten a little bit away from that, pretty much like going on the potential of star power.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tom Izzo is getting back to what makes his program what it is.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, that's what it is.
Michigan, in my opinion, I think squandered a big opportunity to show they were the real deal, closing out the season and heading into the Big Ten tournament. Would you agree with that, Joe?
Yeah, for sure. This should have been not necessarily a cakewalk because obviously it's a rivalry game. People are going to play hard. Cassius Winston is still healthy. We've said Nick Ward at times has been back and forth where he's been really good, and then there's been times where he hasn't been as much. So this should have been an easier victory than, if Michigan State was at their full strength. And they just came out flat, and it didn't look good. So it really hurts their chances at this Big Ten tournament. It's just gonna hurt them. They could have walked away with a very good lead in the Big Ten and set themselves up really nicely.
Malik, do you expect Michigan to finish the season out strong? The rest of their season, they only have 3 games left in the regular season. They play at home against Nebraska, at Maryland, who's 17 in the country right now, and then at MSU. Do they finish this season out strong, or they kind of limp into the tournament?
Speaking of similarities to Michigan football, I think they'll look good to really good against the average competition. And I think when the competition raises, I think things might start changing. Unless John Beilein makes some changes. Like, I don't know if he's going to go with the delivers Iggy thing, or he is playing David Julius. I hope he plays him even more. But if he doesn't make changes, I don't know if he's going to keep having so much confidence in these guys, in his starting 5, to just figure it out without him controlling what's happening. Because trusting the system is a key part of that offense. Of course, guys go off script and create when they need to. But if you don't trust that system, it's going to get ugly, and there's just going to be shots chucked up, and it could get out of hand fast. So it's going to be a weird thing to see.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a complete fall off or they just take off. I think it'll be an up and down thing. And
Okay.
and honestly, that doesn't help either going into the tournament.
Yeah. March 9th in East Lansing, does Michigan get revenge?
I honestly think they will.
Well, of course you're going to say that. You're a Michigan fan.
Well, I'm just supposed to say they don't. I mean,
Yeah, be realistic.
I can't be realistic. I'm just supposed to say MSU sweeps both.
Yeah, because that's what's going to happen.
Being realistic. So my version of okay.
Malik, just wait till the Pistons segment,
Okay.
and we'll
Exactly.
remind Chris
All right.
about being realistic.
You're going to get your chance. Trust me.
I think Michigan comes out differently in that
Okay.
game because Beilein knows what's coming now. He knows they can't play that same way. and that MSU won't let up, and they're going to play a certain type of way of basketball. So I think it'll be a different result.
Joey?
I would like to say yes,
But you're a realist.
but I'm not sure. I'm really not
You're a
sure
realist.
because, Cassius Winston was obviously the big catalyst in this game for Michigan State, as he's been all season. And I don't expect him to put up 27 again. Not that he can't, but that combination of Cassius having a super good game and Michigan shooting really poorly from the three-point line again, I just don't see it happening. But you never know. When you're in East Lansing, the crowd there is pretty crazy. It's another rivalry game to finish off the season, most likely to determine who's number one in the Big Ten at the end. And it's going to be a good game. I'm excited for it, but I'm a little bit nervous for it. And I'm not sure, too. I almost want Michigan to lose. I want Michigan to take risks now. Like Malik's talking about changing the lineup. You can't do that during tournament time. Because if you do that, if you start taking risks in the tournament like that, at least, it's going to throw everything off, and it could really hurt you. You got to do it right now if you're going to start doing that kind of thing and playing different lineups and maybe pushing Iggy to the six-man role or something. Maybe that lights a fire into him, and then he can start once we get back to the tournament, and we can see, a rekindling of what we saw earlier on in the season. That's kind of what I'm hoping. I almost want them to lose at this point because before I was like, okay, let's keep riding this high and try to just win out as much as we can. And now they've dropped a couple of these games. I almost want them to lose a couple more and realize you got to make changes. You can't just be so complacent with this team. They're not what they were a couple weeks ago even, that they need to get back to that kind of game. They need to believe in Beeline. He's been there so many times before. He's one of the best coaches in the country at this point. And I think they just need to believe in the system, like Malik said.
Yeah. We got a lot. Actually, we don't really have a lot of basketball left to play. 3 more games for Michigan, 3 more games for Michigan State, then the Big Ten tournament, and then the big dance. So a lot more. I keep saying a lot more basketball. Not a lot more basketball.
I mean, it
to
is
play,
a lot more basketball.
but not really left.
We don't
in the
know how
regular season.
long of these
Exactly.
teams basketball,
Yeah.
but
Moving on though, we gotta talk some Zion Williamson. After the show we had last week, that was recorded before Duke versus North Carolina at Duke, where Zion Williamson had the shoe explosion heard around the world. The shoe exploded 33 seconds into the game. Zion strained his left knee. Did not return. Didn't play in the next game against Syracuse. What do you guys make of this whole situation? Everybody's saying how Zion should sit, should not play the rest of the year. I want to get your opinion on the matter, Malik.
Well, honestly, I really don't. I don't know whether he should sit out or whether he should play the rest of the year. All I can go with is how Zion is as a person and the type of kid he is.
Do you think
And the
he
type
will
of
play another
competitor
game?
he is. Oh, he's most definitely gonna play. He's gonna play in the ACC tournament. He's gonna play in the NCAA tournament. Like he said a few weeks ago, if he didn't want to play in the season, he wouldn't have gone to Duke. He would have just sat out a year or gone overseas for a
That's
year
true.
or something. So Zion, he loves playing for Duke. He loves playing with RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, those guys. He'll be back in a few games.
Joey?
yeah, I don't see him sitting out. And I don't know, if you sit out, it kind of throws up little red flags almost mentally. I know it's really weird because some teams will like say, oh, well, he doesn't want to finish his season. He's playing it safe. Is that a concern? And then other teams are like, that's a good idea. We should maybe watch him, keep an eye on him. Maybe we can steal him in the draft. And it just throws things off for a loop. But I don't see him sitting. I think he wants to keep proving himself. I think he needs to, honestly.
I disagree with that. I don't think he needs to. I think if he didn't play another game at Duke, he'd still be the number 1 pick. There's too much hype around him. There's too much money around him for a team that drafts him. The amount of merchandise that will be sold just by drafting this kid will be insane. And the revenue the team will get is just too much to pass up. Because at the end of the day, professional sports is a business and it's about making money. It's not about winning championships as much as people want to think.
True. No, I agree with that. But at the same time, like, if you want to play and you want to prove yourself, and if like he can get hurt his first day in the NBA and then be done. But he could play in the tournament, get hurt, still get drafted. I mean, look at Michael Porter Jr.
But if he gets hurt again in the tournament, that's a red flag. If he gets another injury.
But he'll still get drafted, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's where it just kind of becomes up to him. Like, what does he want to do? Does he want to be competitive and try to win a national championship?
So you guys both think he will play?
Most definitely.
I think so.
Do you think he should play, though, in your opinion? If you somehow miraculously got the decision to say, Zion, you're playing or you're not playing,
If I was Zion Williamson,
what do?
If I was Zion Williamson, I'm playing because I love the sport of basketball. He loves those. He came to Duke for a reason. He likes playing with RJ. RJ and Cam are his best friends. It's something. I can only say it simply. He went to Duke for a reason. It's not much more than that.
well,
to be honest.
going to Duke helps his draft stock.
Yeah.
Because if
Exposure.
you can dominate in the ACC on a Duke team, then
Joey?
they know you're the real deal. If you try to go somewhere else, people start to question. Okay, well, maybe he's not ready for college. I mean, look at like even Thon Maker. Like people were concerned. Like how you can't. It's hard to judge talent at different levels.
I mean, we'll look at Markelle Fultz. He played at Washington, and his draft stock was so high because he dominated. And then he gets to the NBA. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the NBA, but
he's mentally
And even
he's trying to rebuild his mind.
You look at guys like Luka Doncic and stuff too. Like all these European guys.
There were
It's
people
always-
that thought he'd be a complete
It's always
bust.
a big question.
I don't know
mark.
who
You're
thought
just,
he was going to
You're
be a
just
bust.
not
There-
for sure.
there are still people that ride the don't draft a European train.
that's just small-minded.
So
It is.
The hard thing is though, like Chris said, the money. And people always try to say it's not about the money, it's about the love of the game. There is a point where
It's
it is
about
the
the
money.
money.
When you can tell yourself that you get drafted super high in the draft and that you are basically, as long as you're smart, set for life.
So, Joey.
That's a big deal compared
Mhm.
to a national championship.
So, Joey.
No matter how big of a competitor you are, to know that you are secure for the rest of your life, potentially,
and
that's
you
a
can
pretty
take
big
care
deal.
of your family, which you've worked so hard to put yourself into this position to do so. If you're Zion Williamson, Joe, are you sitting the rest of the season?
I have no idea.
Oh my! What a cop out!
Because what
What a cop
literally
out.
the competitor in me
Oh
says
my-
I would play.
It's not an easy decision, Chris. As
It's-
much
I
as
need-
much,
I don't know.
That's
not
such
easy
a
to-
cop
That's
out
why
answer.
that's why I said
That's the most
I wouldn't
disappointing
have-
answer I could have
Well,
heard.
the problem is we didn't get injured, so we don't know like,
Exactly.
how his knee
I'm not
feels.
Zion.
We
I can
don't
only
know
go
how
by
he's
what he
feeling.
thinks.
This is all theoretical, Joe.
Okay, well, if I tore my ACL or something, yeah,
If
I'm
I
gonna
was Zion
sit.
Williamson, I'd transfer to North Carolina and play 3 more years.
If I rolled
You
my
happy?
ankle, I'm playing the next day.
Oh my gosh! All right, what are Duke's chances in the tournament in the rest of the season? With Trey Jones potentially, I think he still potentially might be out for the year. Does that sound about right? And we're still not exactly confirmed if Zion's going to come back. We still don't know that 100%. If there's no Trey Jones and no Zion Williamson, how far does Duke go?
Not very far.
Sweet 16?
Because that means RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish
I think
doing what they do.
RJ Barrett really hurt his draft stock this year. He was the consensus #1 pick preseason. Now he's likely
Number 2.
They're still
Yeah,
listen.
he might be 3 or 4.
Ooh, he's hurting.
RJ Barrett's
Yeah,
going
I
number 2.
don't think he's falling below
He's
2.
going Listen, a few nights ago versus Syracuse, he shot 14 of 19 and had like 36 and 8.
Because people in the NBA are just going to look at Ben Simmons. I know RJ Barrett's not that big,
He's not.
but he's very similar.
He's similar.
And he
But
shoots
he's-
better.
He's
He
similar
shoots better,
a
but
little
he is
bit,
nowhere
but
near
yeah,
the
they're not
playmaker, the athlete. He's not. Ben Simmons is an athlete.
I think RJ Barrett is an underrated
the,
athlete.
the difference is
You're right.
The
He
difference is Ben
underrated.
Simmons is 6'10", 240. That's the difference.
He has
Right,
the
that's what I mean,
and
the
Ben
size.
Simmons has the physical.
Yeah,
physical
the
attributes.
physical attributes is what's different. RJ's 6'6", 215, but he's still very athletic. He has more of an offensive game than Ben Simmons. Of course, Ben Simmons is a generational passer, almost on the level of LeBron. Nobody can touch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are different things between them, but he's still a top 3 probably number 2 pick in the NBA draft.
We'll see. We'll see at draft time, which the Pistons won't be drafting that high because they are hot right now. In my opinion, they are playoff bound. It's time to start talking about the Pistons again, guys. We kind of took a little bit of a hiatus, talked about them very little because they were struggling. They've won 7 of 8. They're the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference right now. Joey looks just so disturbed by what I'm saying.
They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, and I'm happy about that.
Indiana was 20 games above.
Indiana without Victor Oladipo, you're supposed to beat them. Good.
But they still won 8 of their last 9 games heading into Detroit.
Oh yeah, they still have the pieces of a good
But
team.
don't say oh they should have beat Indiana. Indiana won 8 of their last 9, not coming off a back-to-back. The Pistons played their 3rd game in 4 nights. That's an impressive win.
It is.
You can't say it's not, even though I know Joey will.
Joe, you don't have to look disheveled
I know,
and
he looks
completely
so
discouraged.
It's going to be.
Before you say anything, Joe, I want to pose this question to you because I'm actually really interested to hear your opinion on the matter. Have the Pistons turned a corner on their season after last night's win?
Well, technically, yes, because they're playing better and they were playing awful before. So it's a turning point. It's a corner. But what is that? What is the end goal of turning this corner?
Is it a substantial turning point?
No, because where does it get us? It gets us to the playoffs. A first-round exit.
You say that, but
no, it's a first-round exit.
I believe the Pistons will make the playoffs and look really good in the first round.
Thank you.
And that will trick all of us into having hope.
I have false hope already.
It will trick every single one of us when they push a team to almost.
You really think they're going to play the Bucks or the Sixers well?
I'm not even worried. It's not going to be it's the Bucks.
Even
or
if
the
they
Raptors.
don't push them to 7, they'll be competitive every game. The Pistons fans will be like, "Watch out next season." This is Dwayne Casey's 2nd season. He has it under control. Blake and Andre are looking good at the 4 and 5. Reggie's looking good again. Oh yeah.
All right, hey, I'm just happy Reggie's getting that trade value up for this summer. He's looking okay.
No, because then he's gonna be terrible again. He's gonna play it just like he did this season. You know, he played terrible up until the deadline, and then after, once it passes,
he's been playing super well after.
That's
the deadline.
assuming he has more injury problems, because
he will.
Yeah, that's. Oh, he will. Watch him get hurt. Are you wishing injury on somebody?
I think he is.
How dare you? Joe?
Are you kidding me,
I'm
Joe?
just saying. He's injury prone.
Wow, he is.
That's a low point for you, Joe. That's a low point. Wishing injury on someone. What? You got anything to say for yourself?
This team is just
you're just
in
a
so
hater.
much trouble.
Joe, you're such a hater.
I just don't get how you can be so happy with mediocrity.
Because it doesn't matter what happens.
Wait. Let's flash back to the NFL season. What did you just say? Say that again, Joey.
What did I say?
Repeat what you just said, please.
How can you be satisfied with mediocrity?
Go back a few months ago when he had positivity for the Detroit
I've
Lions
told you
season.
Before, though.
Now you repeat what he just said. Because you could say the exact same thing and worse about the Lions.
How are you satisfied with mediocrity, Joe?
Because I don't know enough about football.
This is Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man. That's what this is.
Can that be the cover image of this
Lions.
episode?
That's what this is. Okay, we can continue.
We need to make some art. One Spider-Man in a Pistons jersey, one in a Lions jersey, pointing at each other. Oh, okay. Sorry.
The problem is, and all of it is that we're supposed to know basketball, so I can be hopeful in football because I don't know enough.
All right,
and
thank you.
The Lions are also a meme team.
A meme team?
Yeah, they're a meme team. Wait.
So since they're a meme team, they're okay for you to be satisfied by their mediocrity.
Yeah.
That is just the worst take I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
That's a terrible take.
That's interesting. That's interesting, man.
I just don't know how you can enjoy the Pistons being like, you say that it's like your favorite team and you just enjoy seeing them get a first round exit year after year after year after year. We're not making the playoffs.
That's
just making the wrong move after wrong move after wrong move.
That's the difference between me and Chris as Pistons fans. I will always love the Pistons deep down to my soul, but I can't watch them because I know it's not leading to anything. And because of what I saw when I was younger, I was spoiled. We were all spoiled. And while some fans are happy to there are a lot of fans that are happy to see the Pistons win right
As
now
he points to me.
and have all the hope. But I know it won't lead to much. So I can't get excited. I can't. It's good to see them winning, but I can't
Here's
get excited.
the way I look at it. Unfortunately, I'm not the one making the decision on what they do with their roster, which I should be, but I'm not, unfortunately. All I can do is support my team. They're playing well. It's nice to see them playing well because as a Pistons fan, I haven't seen a playoff win in 11 years. And I know
might be longer.
And I know this franchise, all it wants, its main objective this season is to win one playoff game. I can tell you right now, that's all Gorse wants from this season is to win one playoff game.
Which will set them back another 10 years.
That's drastic. 10 years is a long time, Joey.
I'm just saying.
Okay,
You're just
so
saying, but that's a
how long is
that's
Blake
a
Griffin?
bet.
How many more years is Blake Griffin on contract?
3 years after this one.
3 more years. So after Blake is gone, and Andre probably doesn't want to be in Detroit anymore, and Reggie Jackson isn't the same.
Well, Reggie won't be here by then.
I would hope Reggie Jackson is gone by that
He's
time.
an
That's
expiring
what-
his
going-
last year is next year.
Going by setting back 10 years, at least 3 or 4 years after Blake is gone.
We'll have a bunch of these second-round draft
What
picks
what
that are
hope
nothing.
will there be?
These late first-round picks that have no talent and we have no
That's why-
development.
This buffer of 3 to 4 years of the Blake Griffin experiment. It's fun. It's a
It's a fun
It's,
it's a fun era because Blake Griffin is really the best Piston since Grant Hill. Singular player.
these 3 years are pretty much a novelty act. That's what I'll say.
I kind of actually like
It's-
that. I like that
it's-
take
it's a
because I
novelty
kind of agree with you. It's a novelty act to try to trick
Yeah.
fans back into supporting a team that is kind of. I draw comparisons to not when the Hawks were the 1 seed, but when the Hawks were battling with Josh Smith, a lower tier team that always made the playoffs, always was competitive, or the Brooklyn Nets that had Darren Williams, Joe Johnson. Ironically, Joe Johnson played for both of those teams, but just that middle of the road mediocrity, just to get fans excited, just to fill the arena, to create some sort of buzz, to create some sort of revenue, so the Pistons are not the laughing stock when it comes to the business
Exactly.
side of things, because they are the lowest attendance team in the NBA by an astounding number. It's not even close, from 29 to 30. So,
Tom Gores is just waving Blake Griffin at the Detroit fans, saying, "Look what we have
yeah.
for this little bit of time, and
You
we're
know
gonna
what?
move to Detroit, and it's all gonna be awesome."
He thought the move to Detroit was going to change. The only thing is going to change and bring fans back is winning. It's just how this city is.
the moves
This is not a basketball city.
the moves he's making are not Piston like.
You know-
He's not making Pistons moves. Everything he's done, it doesn't fit with this franchise. Maybe that's why I really can't get behind them as much anymore. Moving from Auburn Hills broke my heart.
I mean, I
completely.
don't hate it, but
Right now, that was not a good decision.
it was too quick. It happened too fast. They went from there was no news about them moving to Detroit the opening night prior to Little Caesars Arena opening. So it was a very quick move.
Yeah, there was
sudden.
talk originally that they were going to move a year after the
Yeah.
Red Wings. So after the opening season, then they were going to
Yeah.
move. And then all of a sudden they decided, no, we should just move right now.
But yeah, let's keep going on the Pistons here. They've won 7 of 8 now. I believe that Pacers win was kind of a statement win. It was a very edgy game. If you did watch it, there was a lot of technicals. There was a couple flagrant fouls. Drummond actually showing some emotion in a positive way when it comes to actually caring about
I
basketball.
also take that with a grain of salt.
I understand. I'm just saying.
It's good to see.
It's good to see. I'm not saying he's gonna be like that the rest of the way. I'm saying it was a good sign. Blake is Blake. That's not anything you can knock. He's been a stud this season. He has surpassed anybody's expectations of what he was going to be this year. You cannot deny that.
Casey deserves credit because
Why does Casey about Blake's success?
I don't think Blake Griffin isn't the reason why this team is playing so great. Blake was getting his numbers even when they looked horrible. I think they're buying into what Casey is telling them, and they're playing like a team finally. And that stretch where they were losing games and they looked awful, it looked like they just didn't want to. They didn't want to play together. They didn't want to be anything. They make a few moves.
I honestly think the Thon Maker move is a tiny turning point in the year, just because it added a slightly more depth on that front line. Now they don't have to play John Lure, who is an absolutely terrible basketball player. Somehow he forgot how to play basketball, and they actually have someone that can give you some minutes on the front line that doesn't have rocks for hands and Zaza Pachulia as well. So I think that was a big move to actually get someone that's actually playable in the rotation.
Remember that early season Zaza Pachulia prediction?
I don't. What was it?
What was it?
Oh, man, I wish we had the clip because I don't remember exactly what you said either. But I told you Zaza wouldn't do much.
Oh, I said he was the Kawhi stopper or whatever.
Watch what Zaza does. The Kawhi stopper.
Yeah, I was happy about that. Oh, it's also amazing too that Jose Calderon doesn't play anymore. That's been a huge factor.
Fantastic.
Addition by subtraction.
Well, that's because we finally have healthy point guards.
Yeah.
Oh, but we got to talk about Luke Kennard. He's playing so well offensively, shooting 50% from deep in his last 8 games. He's actually playing well defensively. He's had a couple of really nice steals, playing some solid on-ball defense. And if Luke can give you that many points off the bench and actually play passable defense on the perimeter, it changes the whole lineup for this Pistons team because you can get away with playing Luke longer because he's not getting beat defensively. What have you guys seen from Luke over the last 8?
This is what I saw early in the season last year, where
he looks like he's playing mad.
It seems
he's got an edge to him.
Last year at the beginning of the season, he seemed more defensively engaged. He was in attack mode. He was playing good basketball, and then it just seemed to fall off with the whole Stan Van debacle and that whole team just falling apart. This season begins pretty much the same team with Blake Griffin added, and you could tell he was angry with where this team was, but. Now we're later into the season. He's probably more comfortable with Casey. The whole team is getting into a groove. And they're comfortable with each other. And Luke is getting confident because I'm sure Casey believes in him. Well, he knows Luke is offensively talented. Yeah. And all it takes is some motivation and knowing that you can win. Luke has been winning his entire life. Losing is something he's not used to. So when you get into a groove and you start winning games like that rises your confidence, that makes you play harder. Makes you just better overall. I
think Casey kind of lit a fire under Luke Kennard too. Remember that time? I think it was right after the new year. Pistons were out west. They played in Sacramento. They got crushed. Luke Kennard had a blow up against a couple assistant coaches. Looked like he had a disagreement with Dwayne Casey. Since then, it seems like Luke kind of developed that I don't care attitude. I'm going to go for mine. I'm going to go out shooting. And I think
honestly, that is the type of player he should be because he's that.
I agree with you. He was way too passive prior to.
He's that good
and way too much just sit in the corner and let the offense come to him when he's playing off the bench. He's not a star player yet. He's not a role player. He wasn't at the time an established role player yet. So for Luke to be so passive, it just did not benefit the Pistons whatsoever. Dwayne Casey got into him. All of a sudden, Luke has this edge to him that really kind of fits the Detroit mold. If he can keep this going, I could definitely see the Pistons fan base buying into Luke.
He should be a 14, 15 point per game scorer.
In his career, I agree.
He has the ability to be that.
Yeah, especially in today's NBA where you can't touch anybody and you can shoot threes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Thon Maker, I want to get your opinion on this, Joe. You've been kind of quiet here because you have nothing to say.
Oh, I love the Luke talk. He's one of my shining spots for the Pistons.
I think Thon Maker's a shining spot as well.
I think he's looked good.
He's filling his role well.
His energy is what I love.
That's the biggest thing. He provides energy off the bench.
He plays like he wants to be there. Yes. And he wants to play basketball.
And he'll leave it all out on the court. He's not going for points or stats like a Stanley Johnson was.
When his offensive game fell off, he'd just be out of the game. Yeah.
What's your take on Thon Maker so far, though, Joe?
I think he's played good. I like we said before, making that deal was pretty low risk, high reward. And so far, we're getting rewarded for it. We'll have to see what happens when, maybe he struggles in a couple games or, kind kind of has a falling off, like we saw with Stanley, where, in the playoffs, Stanley was super good, and, we thought, okay, he's going to be a bright spot for this future, and he turned out to be kind of a dud. Thon Maker right now is looking really good. How long he'll keep that up? I'm hoping for a while. I hope that he can keep it going. He's a young talent. He stretches the floor, gives you a different kind of option that we don't have. So, I mean, I think he's working out. I think it helps, and it just adds kind of that, almost that defensive guy that we don't really have. Blake and Andre, they're more offensively.
And Zaza's not a shot blocker.
Yeah.
I know we're going to keep talking about this throughout the next couple weeks, but as of right now, are you buying into the Pistons and the playoffs, Joey? Are you buying into that they're going to be there?
Those are like two separate squads. I'm not buying into the Pistons, but I do think at this point they'll make the playoffs.
Do you think they'll sneak in as like the 8th seed?
I like how you separated that.
Yeah, because I'm not really buying into them, but I think they'll make it.
Like barely, like sneak in as the 8th seed or a 7 or 6?
I think if they keep this up, they can get a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have to keep.
Because honestly, if Brooklyn keeps up, they'll be a 6, which is
Brooklyn's
they might be the story of the year.
Yeah, they have to keep this stretch going. Their schedule is really weird. Like we've talked before, like they play some really good teams and they play some really bad teams, and it's kind of like back and forth. So consistency is going to be really key if they want to, maybe push to 7 or even 6 seed.
Yeah, let's talk about another team though. Let's go across the nation to La La Land, the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James might miss the playoffs for the first time since his rookie year.
I don't know why
is this going to happen?
I don't know why they put a smile on my face.
Yeah, you just start smiling.
I'm just maniacally.
Oh no, I'm smiling right with you.
I think he's more focused on Space Jam 2 right now. But I think he's never been in a position like this where with the Cavaliers, even if his team wasn't that talented, you're in the East, you're LeBron, you can get them far. Is what it is. Right now, you're in a competitive West with young teams that are emerging that look better than yours. There are players on your team that you don't want, and that's been made public. And right now, you're acting like you don't want to play with those players. And that goes as far as missing on doing stuff on defense, not doing stuff on defense that you should do, and then putting your hands up like they messed up. Then Lonzo it turns out that he was a key to that offense, which everybody just wants him to be a bad player, but he's a good young player that has a lot of potential. He goes out for a few weeks. They just fall off. You get a big win against Boston. When they won that game, I thought that would be a big turning point for them because that seemed huge, like a big team morale win.
And since that game,
it's led to nothing.
They've lost 4 of their last 5.
Absolutely nothing.
Which is really weird to me because they lose at Philly, which is first of all, they got blown out, but that's a tough place to play. They lose at Atlanta prior to the All-Star break. That's a terrible loss. After
going into All-Star break, I said something's starting to look wrong with LeBron because that Hawks loss, it was starting to look off.
And LeBron said he activated his playoff mode early this year because they are currently 3 full games out of the last playoff spot in the Western Conference with 22 to play. Joey, what do you think of LeBron activating his playoff mode early?
He's a liar.
He's a liar.
You're
calling LeBron a liar?
If he activated playoff mode, you play defense in the playoffs.
Not only do you play defense, but in the playoffs, he averages like 33, 10, and 10 almost.
And like again, he's kind of getting those empty stats where he's getting some triple doubles or close to triple doubles in a couple of these games.
He's not leading anything.
He's not playing defense.
He's not playing defense.
He's not playing defense.
It's
like Malik said, he is literally.
It's even worse than usual, where he used to get chased down blocks and play defense when he needed to. Now he's not getting chased down blocks. He's not even defending when he needs to.
He's standing in the middle of the lane. And then he looks around acting like
somebody will miss a layup.
Who's got my man?
Somebody will miss a layup and he'll walk back on D. He'll drop his head, take a slow step, and then just start jogging back slowly.
And then he likes to blame others. and that's a big
Joey
problem.
is very anti-LeBron.
I really don't like that.
He's putting it on himself.
Like what Malik
honest.
said, I really hate when players, they'll make a mental mistake or something and they don't play defense for a play, and then all of a sudden they look at another teammate, they shake their head, they shake their hands. What are you doing? What are you doing? Well, you're setting a bad example. LeBron is basically the parent of this team, this franchise. He is supposed to set the example for these young guys. What is he setting an example of? Playing no defense?
Yeah,
Trying to be a LA star?
Do you think there's still a disconnect between LeBron and the young players, especially since it's clear that LeBron and Anthony Davis have something going on?
Yeah, and I'm sure all the talks do not help LeBron's case at all. And the other part too is I think LeBron thought with this talent that it would have been a cakewalk.
Exactly. He's at a point where he's never been on a team where the talent isn't up to what he wants and they still can't make the playoffs. In Cleveland, he could always make the playoffs because the East wasn't as strong as the West and he was LeBron. Now, he doesn't know how to react. He's blaming guys because what do you do when you're in this position and you're LeBron and you've never been in this type of position?
Yeah.
He's usually just a calm leader that gets everything in order, but
And his only saving grace is going to be the injury. If they miss the playoffs, he can say, I was injured for so many games. Which is true.
LeBron fans they're going to say that for the rest of the
which
season.
is true. I mean,
LeBron is injured and he's not the same.
It does probably take some momentum away. It takes some wins away, but you can't use that as an excuse. You're the best player in the league.
Yeah.
You can't call yourself the best player in the league and not play defense. I can't get behind that.
He better start dropping 40 along with triple doubles because
he
has to make up for what he's been doing.
Are you guys betting against LeBron and Lakers making the playoffs right now?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm still
Joey with the hot take. You're saying LeBron misses the playoffs for the first time since his rookie year this season.
I still think there's
Who
a
gets
chance
in?
they
Who's
make
8?
the playoffs.
I'm with Malik.
I'm not ready to trust the Kings.
I'm not betting
at
against
that level.
Well, there's also
Although
they're
they're a good young team, and they're surprising. And the Clippers are.
The Clippers are the 8th
too,
seed right now.
but
Kings are about a game or a game and a half behind them.
There's still the factor of this is LeBron James, and these are really good young players on the Lakers. How do you not make the playoffs? There's still that thing.
Yeah.
So I still have to believe they get in 7 or 8 somehow. They pull off a little streak where I don't know, man. If they don't make the playoffs, this will be one of the biggest busts in NBA history.
Well, they'll get a win
Easily.
tomorrow because they're playing the Pelicans.
You sure?
Collusion.
You sure?
You sure?
Because the Pelicans blew them out last time they played, which
I know,
was
but
2 games ago.
Anthony Davis this time, he's like, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have done
Can't
that.
play that
Yeah,
one.
go ahead, LeBron.
It's a mess right now. Like I said before, Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka are sweating bullets, staring at each other like, what do we do?
They have to strike gold this summer or they're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
There's a big matchup on March 15th, too.
What?
Lakers versus Pistons.
Ooh,
Oh, I hope the Pistons win. I'll be rooting hard for the Pistons in that one.
that'll be a fun one.
Is it here?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
let's
the
go.
Lakers have a tough schedule, though. If you look at, after the Pelicans, they play the Bucks, and they have the Suns. Clippers, Nuggets, Celtics, Bulls for an off game, Raptors,
Oh, yeah, that's not easy at all.
Knicks, Bucks, Nets, Kings,
But they've shown they can drop games to bad teams.
Jazz, and Pelicans. So they have a tough schedule.
Before we get off the airwaves, we got about 4 minutes left. I want to get Malik's opinion on something. I have a question.
Oh, I
to
forgot
ask
about the
him.
question. Okay.
Malik,
I'm not ready.
as of right now, are you going to finally buy into the Milwaukee Bucks? They're 45
Not in the playoffs.
and
no.
14. They're the best. They have the best record in the entire NBA. They have the potential MVP winner in Giannis Antetokounmpo,
Yeah.
potential Coach of the Year winner in Mike Budenholzer, who you doubted big time this past summer.
I did. He's a really good coach.
What more do you want them to do to buy into them?
Get him another superstar.
So right now you're not buying into them. In the weak Eastern Conference, you don't think they're the best team.
Once we get to the playoffs, no.
Who do you think's the best team right now?
I think Philly and Boston will be better than them. in
You
the
think
playoffs.
Boston, who's currently the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference?
Maybe not Philly because Brett Brown could get in the way. but
So maybe not Philly, and then maybe not Boston.
those rosters are built for playoff pushes.
Right now, Philly plays Boston, so that could also hurt.
But
But it'd help the Bucks.
So you're not bought in. You're still not bought in.
teams change
Milwaukee
in the playoffs.
Milwaukee can literally do nothing.
This
to
is
change your
a
opinion.
fantastic regular season team, but Now, until we get to the playoffs, I have to see them maintain it in a 7-game series, which is a completely different thing. Teams fold in the playoffs. Some teams rise in the playoffs.
All right.
I've never seen a team like this rise in the playoffs.
Okay. I guess we'll have to see.
You need superstars.
Malik's going to have to eat his words when the
Along
Bucks
with a really
advance to
good
the
coach.
NBA Finals.
And then get ran off the court by the Golden State Warriors.
Anybody's going to get ran off the court. It's going to be a sweep in the finals yet again.
I don't think they sweep Boston.
I don't think Boston's getting out of the semis.
I actually don't think they'd sweep anybody in the East. I think the East would just
think
knock a game.
Well, I think the toughest competition for the Warriors might be Philly, just matchup wise.
That's why if Brett Brown doesn't get in the way, Philly.
Why do you think Brett Brown's going to get in the way?
Because he has before.
In what way?
I think last year Brad Stevens made Brett Brown look like a middle school coach.
You know, that's the correlation between last season and this season is very drastic when it comes to the coaching of Brad Stevens.
It's not like Brett Brown is a bad. I think Brad Stevens is still a phenomenal coach.
Oh, I do too, but I'm saying his struggled this year, though.
His roster is awkward.
Yeah.
I'll keep saying with Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, and Jaylen Brown, there's no way for that team to run completely smoothly. One of those small forwards would have to go for them to reach their full potential, and that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
They're all gonna be there.
With a couple minutes left, out of these top 5 teams, Milwaukee, Toronto, Philly, Indiana, and Boston, who is the best first round matchup for Detroit and why? Joe.
Did you include Indiana in there?
Yeah.
Indiana.
Why?
Because they're the least talented. They're without their best player.
Even with their 40-21 record, it's currently 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference.
Without Victor Oladipo,
they are more of a team-oriented.
Going into the playoffs, I don't think they'd be fully equipped for a 7. They don't have a guy that can just take over in a 7-game series.
They don't have that go-to scorer and
exactly
get a bucket.
I agree with you. They do have really good depth, and I think that's what's helping them a lot in these games. But yeah, I think when you get into a playoff game and games are close and you need somebody to score, granted, I don't know if the Pistons necessarily have that. I know Blake has been playing really good out of his mind.
Blake,
they do.
But
Yeah.
I feel
But
like
I don't know if in clutch time that Blake is that go-to guy necessarily.
He's
I mean, he
had
will be.
shots.
He will be for sure, but I'm just saying.
This season, he's had big-time shots.
Because he's relied on, he'll hit some. But
he has already this season. The track record this year.
In Los Angeles, Chris Paul was the go-to guy in the clutch, and he hit a lot of clutch shots. But
that just also makes my point, too, that
Blake
Blake is
Blake
way
Griffin's
better
time.
than whoever Indiana's go-to scorer would be
That's
in that
true.
situation.
Would you pick the Pistons to win that series?
They'd have a chance.
I'd probably pick them to win that series.
I think that's the only way the Pistons can make some noise in the playoffs. They have to get lucky and match up.
Unless Nate McMillan just pulls some insane stuff and gets something out of a player that just like he just pulls Tyreek Evans back up to 25-5 for a whole series.
Well,
that would be something crazy.
He just needs to start him.
Yeah.
Darren Collison. No, I'm not fighting for him.
Oh, we got about a minute left, Malik. I know you wanted to bring something up.
I wanted to bring something up.
You did.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to bring something up.
Robert Kraft's been in the news.
Prostitutes.
What's your opinion on the whole Robert Kraft situation?
In general, there's something about old billionaires that it's just not. It's something wrong about old billionaires. They don't have much to do. They just get bored. They want to find fun things to do. It is what it is. But it's hilarious.
It is what it is.
Patriots fans are gonna find reasons to think he's innocent, or find reasons to think he's okay for doing what he's done. But listen, he's been aligning himself with. He's been wearing gold chains, and I don't know, man, Robert Kraft. He's an old billionaire.
Yeah.
They do odd things.
NFL owners.
What are you gonna do with them?
Always in the news.
Well, that's gonna do it for our show this week. That's all we got for you. It's February 26, 2019. We will see you guys next time.
MVP PG.
LSU just beat Tennessee. Keep watching them.